We got a big boy today.
It's a big ass white boy.
Ian Smith, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me here.
We first came across you was back during COVID. That entire experience with COVID was such an eye-opening experience for us, and sure for you.
They keep screwing people over and they're destroying their own identity politics sort of narrative, right?
Yeah. I remember at one point you got arrested.
For opening shit.
And I bet you the abortion clinics were open.
They sure were. Absolutely.
That is nuts.
I actually started running for Congress, and that was the stupidest idea I ever had. But
why do you say that?
I dramatically underestimated the level of fuckery in politics. Like, you think you know, and then you see it from that level where there's so many layers to that rotten onion that we have.
And it's on both sides.
And it's on both sides.
There was ever another mandate. You think people will fight against it this
another
time?
COVID or something? Because people are waking up.
Yeah.
I think you would have a lot more resistance. It would need to actually be a deadly thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think Trump's going to take this election?
He should win it easily.
Well,
I would think.
There's a number of states where you don't need an ID to vote.
Right.
We've got an immigrant invasion going on.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you Israel at this point is a terrorist state?
How many civilians do you have to kill to defeat Hamas?
Yeah.
Right.
How many babies have to die for Hamas for you to win?
Exactly. This episode is brought to you by Optimal Human.
Yeah.
It's 100% American made.
100%, man.
100%.
100%.
It's all-in-one nutritional drink.
It's got over 97 ingredients. It's gluten-free, all-natural, soy-free, and dairy-free. It's launching on May 3rd. So if you want to be the first in line, go to OptimalHuman.com and enter your email. And when you get there, tell them the twins sent you. Let's get to the episode. Welcome to episode 9. We got a big boy today. It's a big ass white boy.
This dude big. Ian Smith, welcome to the show, man.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Good. Thanks for having me here.
Thanks for coming.
Man, that beard is so long, you starting to look Muslim up in here, bro.
Yeah.
like an Arab, right?
Yeah, all of us. All of us are like A-Rab.
Oh, we need some fucking turbans.
Man, that's probably going to be the synopsis of this podcast by the end of it.
Yeah. Yeah, but we first came across you was back during COVID.
Yeah.
And you was in that battle against the New Jersey governor.
My boy Phil Murphy.
Yeah, now I was just that entire experience with COVID was such an eye-opening experience for us, and sure for you. And it's like, what do you think was their ultimate goal when they was going against your gym like that?
Well, going against our gym, I think in particular, it was more of making an example out of.
Right.
You know, in the same way that you see what they're doing with the January 6th protesters, which with anybody who defends themselves on the subway, they're trying to, I think, set an overall tone that you're going to listen to what we say,
Right.
or we're going to crush you, and we're going to do it in whatever way we please. But I think so that's why things got so crazy is because we just kept saying no.
Right.
So these people don't know what to do when you you chin check them, right? When they push you and you push them back.
Right.
And that's why it got to the point where we were taking doors off of the hinges and the
I
gym was
remember
open for 24/7, and then we had kicked plywood doors down after they
I
poured
saw
them
that.
up, and it got to the point where it was lunacy because we just kept they'd stick their finger in our face and we'd stick our finger right back. But I think the overall goal, especially with the COVID lockdowns, I think that was just step one of really the kneecapping of the middle class that we now see today. I mean, look at how hard it is for just your average family to get by.
The middle class is pretty much gone in this country.
Yeah, well, they're on the ropes. They're definitely on the ropes, and it's all of the things that COVID set into motion are now coming into full fruition. Where you've destroyed a generation of small businesses in an environment where it's already hard. Small business is already hard. I mean, you guys are entrepreneurs.
Right.
It's not easy to bet on yourself and to make your own money. And this country was once a country that was the majority. It was people who were self-employed in some regard or another. Right. And slowly but surely you see a complete flipping of that. Yeah. And COVID was like the knockout blow. I mean, generations of small businesses went out of business, never to come back. And now you have more and more people working with the same corporations that will happily sort of cooperate and twist your arm to make you do things that the government tells them to do. So. Yeah, it's COVID was an attack on the middle class.
Yeah, majority was from the left, and I find it so disingenuous when they say, you know, I'm sure you're facing censorship. We have on Facebook.
Yeah.
And their biggest argument on left, you can't tell a private organization how to run their business.
Mm-hmm.
But then, yet and still, they tell you can't open your fucking gym. I was like, it's the biggest hypocrisy I've ever seen in my life. It doesn't make any sense. It's like everything they say is just a walking fallacy, those people. Their logic, their ideology on government just lacks logic in all facets.
Yeah, and it's like people in your gym, these are like people are in great shape.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest factor that defeated COVID.
Yeah.
The people that died from COVID was fat fucks that had 1 foot in the grave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you was healthy,
absolutely.
you didn't have a problem with it. And it's like at the time you was trying to close your gym down, you could go in Walmart and shop.
Yeah.
You could go out and do all your shopping, but for some reason, people who was in good shape.
You could go to the
taking care of
liquor
their
store.
bodies.
Yeah.
You could go to the liquor store. You could do all these things, but people working out in the gym.
People was buying dildos on Amazon. I said that wrong. How you say dildo?
Dildos.
I said dildos. A dildo on Amazon.
You gotta say it quick. Yeah.
It's like they bend over backwards for the big corporations, but for the little man, they didn't care.
Yeah.
Like for us, we didn't have much pushback because we just came to the office and went and go. Nobody told us what we could do.
Yeah.
But I remember we was in another office. I remember my hairdresser. She couldn't go to work. They closed down her business. She went out of business.
Yeah.
And that was probably a woman who either provides for her family in cooperation with her husband or
Yep.
you know, whatever, or is providing for herself, or is a single mother.
Yep, and she's a black woman. The people they swore to, protect.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's kind of the one, I think, upside to COVID, and then everything else that has kind of passed as a result of it is like they keep screwing people over, and they're destroying their own identity politics sort of narrative, right? Like, say, hypothetically, this black woman, she was probably a Democrat voter at one point, at least at one point or another.
Yeah.
She probably is a Democrat.
And you screw these people over, and the way that they screw everybody over, it starts making people start to think, at least, and now this woman's like, wait, these people that I vote for just ruined my business, just set me back 6 months or whatever it is. Right. So there's an upside to it if people are conscious enough to look around and wonder not only like what's happening to them, but who's doing it.
Right.
I think is the most important thing.
What's sad about that is a lot of people's not conscious.
No,
These people are
no,
like pretty
no.
much brain dead.
Yeah.
I remember at one point you got arrested.
Yeah.
And
For opening his gym.
yeah. I think you were
That
you were
is
just sleeping
nuts.
in the
For
gym.
bench pressing.
Yeah. You try to go in there and get some lifts in, you get arrested.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I bet you the abortion clinics were open.
They sure were.
Of course they were.
They sure were. Absolutely.
But eventually you end up selling the gym
Yeah.
and moving. Where did you move to?
Florida.
Florida.
Good move, my friend.
North Florida. Yes, it's a very, very good move. At the end of the gym, I actually started running for Congress.
Yeah.
And that was the stupidest idea I ever had. But
Why do you say that?
Too many skeletons? I know I got them.
well, sure, that's one of them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It I dramatically underestimated the level of fuckery in politics. Like you think and then you see it from that level where there's so many layers to that rotten onion that we have.
And it's on both sides.
And it's on both sides. I mean, the GOP fought me harder than the DNC did in the primary. They outspent me 10-1. Their campaign was nothing but negative. They didn't run on a platform at all. It was just don't vote for that guy.
Right.
And there's good reason to. But I'm a regular dude. I have tons of mistakes. What they'll do is they'll prop up a polished turd instead of
Yep.
it will.
Right. Exactly.
It's somebody that that they can bury their stuff far enough. And then they just prop them up, and it's somebody who doesn't have their own value system.
Yeah, they're beholden to them.
Yeah, it's just what do my donors want? So that's the guy that especially that the GOP and it's the DNC too. That's the person they want. But I really underestimated the how hard it was going to be.
Yeah.
We were riding off of a huge wave of sort of notoriety from COVID, and it started. People would chant Ian for governor during the days at the gym, and it was like kind of like just this when I would go speak. It was like this thing, and then like people were like, "No, you should really run for governor." And then people, like there was like a team of people who were like, "We'll work for you. We'll volunteer." And I didn't want to run for governor because the fight was still going on. That was we're an off-cycle year in Jersey, and then I decided, you know, I thought to myself, okay, we did a really good job stopping these people, right? But like, we're always, the problem with the American citizenry is we're always playing defense. Like we're always running to the fight. Like it's like, oh, we got to stop them from this. So we have to mobilize really quick and call, but like we're never taking the fight to the politicians. So I thought maybe I could run. Big mistake running federally. I should have focused my energy on the state or the local level. So much more important. I can't even put it into words. You know, if I would have got elected, you know, I would have been one of 500 assholes, you know, and they all vote the same way on the things that they want. I mean, there's never any resistance on spending bills. There's never any resisting on foreign aid to Ukraine, to this place for gender studies, for Israel to drop bombs. You know, there's never any resistance. So I would just be there. You know, I wouldn't really be making a change at the state and at the local level. You can really, A, you have a better chance of getting in.
Right.
But B, you have a much more just tangible impact, I think. Right. You can change the community around you.
Right.
And until we lock that up, we're just throwing ice cubes at the sun. You know, it's just you look at people, and it's not that I don't like these people. You look at people like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Matt Gaetz, and it's like, what bills have they passed? They put forth some great bills, but they just get squashed. You know, it's like, and they're like the outcasts of, and we like them because they say what we feel, and they are, you know, they are fighting for the January 6th people, but all the January 6th people are still fucking screwed. Yeah. You know, so they're just overpowered by the other 450, you know, establishment people.
Right. So. Yeah, we had RFK Jr. Recently, and he brought up that same fact that the people for the DNC and RNC, they are hand chosen by those parties, and it's not really up to the people anymore. It's who they want to present to.
Yeah, it's BlackRock. It's the big donors.
Yeah, like RFK Jr. said, he could easily beat Biden. I mean, everybody knows that.
In an open contest, it would be like playing basketball on the kids' court.
Yeah. Right.
You know, with Biden, and he's sleeping. Like he's not even playing.
And I do not get that. Do y'all want to win or lose? Like, you have a much better opportunity if you picked RFK Jr. over Joe Biden. It doesn't make any sense.
You know, the thing is, but they did this to Ron Paul back in 2004.
Right.
You know, Ron Paul ran as a Republican, but he's like very much call him a conservative libertarian.
Right.
Excellent, smart guy. He was a congressman. He was a congressman. Really has great ideas, wants to actually do stuff like end the Fed, you know, things that actually matter. And he ran a hell of a campaign, and he had the same sort of support that RFK does, maybe even greater. And they just boxed him out. They just didn't let him come to debates. And it's like, you know.
Yeah.
So none of this is new. Now I think it's just so in your face that they don't care. It's like, what are you going to do about it?
Hey! I used to like a white guy. Hey! We got these Jeep Wrangler, Rubicon, 20, 24, 37-inch tires, 18-inch wheels. Y'all know why we do this, right? Not just because we're just great black guys, because we're giving back. Yeah, we used to give thousands of dollars each month advertising our giveaways on Facebook, and all they was doing was censors. I said, no, I'm not doing that. Let me talk. I said, I ain't doing that no more. I'm going to incentivize the people that support us. That's why we give back. We gave back how much? About $2 million in trucks and cash? Yeah, something like that. Man, it's a bunch. Go to officialhodgetwins.com. Anything you buy from the site, get you automatically entered to win. Yeah.
No purchase necessary. Board where prohibited. See official rules for details.
Yeah. Speaking of elections, have you always been a conservative? What was your red pill moment?
I've been like in and out of politics a lot of my life. Like I remember being young. I was probably like a sophomore in high school, and I remember seeing 9/11 like in school, and I remember just being like, why does that happen? Like why does you know, like not being able to understand it as you know, whatever, 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
I kind of got into a little bit of a rabbit hole there, and I just kind of got jaded because it was all such a sham. You know, we went over there and we found weapons of mass destruction nowhere, and
it was all a lie.
We did the same thing that you're seeing over and over again. It's like, oh, another war in the Middle East, you know, and we send all these young men over there, and they come home either in a box or, you know, a basket case or injured or, you know, with PTSD. So I got very jaded, and then I was really kind of enjoying the feel-good nationalism under Trump, You know, as a small business owner, especially, you know, those years 2016 to 2020 is when I started my personal training business, or it's when it really took off. I built a personal training studio. I became a gym owner very quickly.
Right.
You know, life was good. So I was like, yeah, I like these guys. You know, I like.
Right.
Yeah, Trump did a lot of good. The people's not giving him any recognition for.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that I disagree with, but you cannot deny that life was immeasurably better from 2016, especially coming out of the Obama years. You know, the economy really took off. We were, I mean, I was doing very well. Not that I wasn't working hard, but I worked I work 3 times as hard now to be successful as I was easily then. And I think almost every small business owner can say the same.
Yeah. Yeah, when I had a 9 to 5, man, I dreaded that shit to the fullest. I'm there. I'm not appreciated. When I became an entrepreneur in my own business, man, I worked 70, 80 hours a week.
Yeah. Yeah, funny how that works.
Yeah. I'd probably been more successful if I'd applied that.
Man, you getting 50-cent dollar raise every year.
I know, man.
No, man. So, I want to bring up this tweet.
Okay.
Like, we're all conservative politically. And the one thing I noticed about Democrats and Republicans, they all toe this line for their party. Like, me being black, I should be a Democrat, but I don't think that way, right? So
You being a Christian should be pro-Israel.
well, typically Christians.
Yeah, Christian
I don't
conservative.
know why. It's 2 different religions.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me, but you fucked me up. I want to go to this tweet you put out. You put this tweet out. Israel is a terrorist state. I like that ratio. Right?
It makes sense.
So we tweeted it this morning.
Yeah.
And go and pull up our tweet. My ratio sucks. What the hell's going on?
Okay, get some scan-in action.
Oh, wait a minute. That ratio's getting better.
Well, it's getting better now.
Oh, man. This is like the damn election. The mail-in ballots just came in. I got my mail-in ballots coming in.
Well, we got 22 hours left.
Yeah.
You guys have you guys have a much larger following, especially on Twitter. Because I mean, you've got 10 times almost or 7 times the votes in 2 hours.
Right. So,
But I also think that you guys have a much more of a mainstream conservative. I think representative of the mainstream conservative. You know, ranging from like people that were upset to COVID to people who are probably newly conservative as well.
Yeah, right.
You know, so I think you have a much actually more realistic selection of the actual population if you were to put this, you know, out in American demographics as a whole.
Yeah, about an hour ago, it was 65-35.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the mail-in ballots, they're coming in now.
And that anti-Semitism is kicking in.
Turn on the boosters.
So I want to ask you, I want you to speak on what's going on. I want to get your take on it.
You know, I think one of the most concerning things for me is that, you know, that I like to ask questions.
Right.
I like to ask questions because I'm asking them myself, and because there is a platform of people who apparently at least give a shit about what I say in some capacity.
That's a great attitude to have. You're trying to learn.
Yeah. And you know, you may say things that might be a little controversial, but you know, that's how ideas float to the top. That's how good ideas win. That's how free speech works, right?
Exactly.
If you're offended by something and it's so horribly wrong, then tell us why.
Right. Exactly.
You know? So I put that out there because, you know, I look around, you know, and I'm not the smartest guy. I hear this in the comment section all the time, like, well, are you a geopolitical expert? And it's like, no. I'm just a dude asking questions, honestly, you know.
Right.
But I look around and I look at what's happening in American politics right now, particularly with this new conflict in the Middle East. We already have one going on in Ukraine, which I was very early when I ran for Congress. This thing was kicking off, and I remember like Dan Crenshaw like started crying over something that I tweeted because like he was so fixed on the Ghost of Kiev story, and I'm like, this stuff's propaganda. Like how?
Yeah. Right.
You know. the same mechanisms that brought you COVID propaganda and BLM propaganda, bring you war propaganda, and the next thing propaganda, and the next thing. It's
same thing with George Bush.
Exactly.
George Bush, weapons of mass destruction.
It's all the same players. The media comes up with these sensational stories, and it's just patterns.
Right.
I mean, do you remember the days of COVID when people were dropping dead in the streets of China?
Right. Yeah,
remember those? Like people were just like falling over, hitting the ground.
Yeah.
There was bodies stacked outside of New York hospitals.
Yeah,
like what happened to that?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because they throw that. That's like the opening pitch. You know, and it gets everybody all anxious.
Right.
And then by the time that story is proven to be absolutely false, you're 2 years into it. So you see that, and look at the George Floyd incidents. Oh, Derek Chauvin killed him. He killed him.
Yeah.
Oh, it just turned. Oh, 2 years later, it turns out, wow, he overdosed.
The first time I saw that video, I couldn't watch. I said, man, he murdered him. I fell for that trap.
Yeah. Nobody's immune to it. Nobody's immune to it.
And I talked to a bunch of cops. He said, man, that shit happens all the time. You arrest somebody, they die in prison of a drug overdose.
Yeah.
Same thing happened to George Floyd. Like, I kneeled my brother on the floor.
And that was hard to watch. Like, I remember watching that and being like, God, that's brutal.
But a man does not die laying on his chest like that.
No.
You don't. It's impossible.
But again, that was the opening pitch. It got everybody all scared. And then just keep going over to the next thing. And Ukraine, right? It was the Russians are invading, and then the Ukrainians are winning. You're the ghost of Kiev. And he shot down 46 fighters and
killed 30,000 Russians already.
They were sharing video game footage. Our own politicians, people like Dan Crenshaw. I don't know if it was Dan Crenshaw, so if he hears this, don't cry about it. But there was our own politicians who were showing video game footage of a fighter jet video game saying that Ukraine's winning.
Right. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And then again, now go to this Israel situation, right? So with all three of those situations, we wind up 2 years before we can stop the damage, or we can at least stop the bleeding. Took us 2 years to get out of COVID. Took us 2 years to get out of BLM. How many billions of dollars of destruction? We're over a year in on Ukraine now because we rushed to the scene. And again, here we go. We got the flying terrorists on the fans coming over the greatest military barrier in the world.
How does that happen?
And then there's Ben Shapiro with his crocodile tears and the 40 beheaded babies. And it's like you ask that question. So I asked the question. I said, who? Okay, 40 decapitated babies is horrible. Exactly. If that's true, there should be some serious repercussions. So let's talk about where that comes from. Oh, you're an anti-Semite. Yeah. Like, what do you? No, I just want to. How do we know? Yeah. And then he's showing burnt babies. Yeah. Remember that? Anybody remember the burnt baby that was an AI image? This is one of the people who's considered a huge conservative person leading the conservative party, and all these people who follow their content for news and information right into the next thing. And here we are again. How many billions have we spent? Yeah. The conflict is escalating. It was going to be ending real quick. We're on month 7. So you start asking questions and people get upset. But
that whole Ukraine issue, I just look at it from this point of view. The USA went back on that word about having Ukraine join NATO. Yeah. I'm looking at it from this point of view, this perspective that Putin, he's just trying to defend his borders. That's the way I look at it. I asked a guy who, he's a friend of mine, he's Ukraine. He says, so many people in Ukraine is against this war. And they said they're not on the side of Ukraine.
They're not. They're being pulled off of the streets. They're being conscripted.
Exactly.
I mean, they've slaughtered, slaughtered another generation of young men. What does that do? What are the long-term repercussions of that, right? Like, we see it, our grandfathers and great-grandfathers have been slaughtered in World War I, World War II. We lost men in the Vietnam. We every time this happens, we lose generations of our strongest men. Yeah. And we wonder why. You look around today, and we've got dudes in dresses and guys that, tuck their balls and go swimming against girls. Yeah. There are some ramifications to these things.
I don't even think he tucks.
No.
I just think he swims.
He uses it as like a little paddle, man. There's a rudder behind him.
Yeah. Do you think Israel at this point is a terrorist state?
I think killing innocent civilians and calling it a virtuous mission is absolutely ludicrous. And I think that
there's some counts that there's like 20, I think it's up to 30,000 now. People have died in this war.
Yeah.
You know what I hate about the Israel the whole narrative about Israel, they always refer to people that's they always intentionally misrepresent people's arguments. Like they say, "Oh, you're anti-Semitic. You support terrorism." I said, "No, I support another Semitic people that's being killed and murdered for absolutely no reason."
I just want to know why you guys are killing how many civilians do you have to kill to defeat Hamas?
Yeah. Right.
How many babies have to die for Hamas for you to win?
Exactly.
Yeah. I think that's a
Hamas's
fair
attack
question.
was horrible. Hamas's attack was horrible. You blew that out of the water 100 times over.
Yeah, what Israel's doing.
Exactly. So at what point, like, you have to ask the question. It's like, at what point, it's the same thing as a street fight. Mm-hmm. You know, right? Like some littler guy punches some big guy, right? And gets him good, and then the big guy beats him into a bloody pulp. Yeah. At what point do you pull him off?
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, are you just going to let him kill him?
Yeah.
You know, like.
Yeah. I want to show you this video about, there was some food aid workers in Israel got killed a couple days ago. And I can't even say his name.
Netanyahu.
I keep thinking of Kanye West when he was saying his name.
Net. What's up, Net?
And his response about killing these innocent aid workers who's just trying to feed people.
Details today about the 7 aid workers from World Central Kitchen who were killed by Israel's military in Gaza. All 7 victims have now been identified, including an American. The airstrikes destroyed the victims' cars on Monday in what Israel claims was a case of mistaken identity. Holly Williams has the story.
World Central Kitchen has named Jacob Flickinger, a 33-year-old dual US-Canadian citizen, as one of 7 of its team members killed by the Israeli military in Gaza. It appears their convoy of 3 cars was targeted with strikes multiple times, even though the non-profit says it was coordinating its movement with Israel's military, which called it a grave mistake.
It was a mistake that followed a misidentification at night during a war in a very complex conditions.
These people are heroes.
The US government says it's outraged by the deaths, calling on Israel to carry out a swift and impartial investigation.
We've impressed upon the Israelis the absolute imperative of doing more to protect innocent civilian lives, be they Palestinian children, women, and men, or be they aid workers.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called the incident tragic and unintentional, also saying, quote, "This happens in war." Relations between the US and Israel appear increasingly strained, even though America is Israel's most important ally. Nowhere is the tension more evident than over Israel's planned offensive in Rafah in southern Gaza, where around 1.5 million Palestinians are sheltering, many in tents.
That's crazy.
Israel says it needs to destroy Hamas's remaining battalions. The US is warning against an assault without a credible plan to protect civilians.
After sending hundreds of tons of...
That's enough.
That's the one they had to come clean about.
There's so many of these instances, though. Like, this is not, like, if you just Google, like, Israel strike kills civilian.
Yeah, it's not isolated.
You're going to come up with this, not only throughout this conflict, but almost every conflict.
Right.
Almost every time that they get involved in a war, there's tons of civilian deaths. And it's, you know, and I want to clarify. You asked, do I think Israel's a terrorist state? Acting like this, I absolutely do.
Yeah.
Does that mean the people, the citizens of Israel? Absolutely not. Does that mean Jewish people? Absolutely not. No less than I think that the American state acts in a terroristic manner when we went over and Obama killed what's his name in North Africa.
Right.
Or we went over and to Iraq and slaughtered 1 million citizens,
right.
Civilians.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nobody talks about that.
That doesn't mean the American people are bad people. Right. So when I say Israel is a terrorist state, I mean the functioning government, Netanyahu, and the people that are in control of that government and this government are absolutely acting as a terrorist state.
Right. That statement, bring up the Netanyahu clip. That was kind of sugar-coated, what he said. Play this. It's got captions on it.
לצערנו, ביממה האחרונה היה מקרה טרגי של פגיעה לא מכוונת של כוחותינו באנשים חפים מפשע ברצועת עזה. זה קורה במלחמה, אנחנו בודקים את זה עד תום, עומדים בקשר עם הממשלות ונעשה הכל כדי שהדבר הזה לא יישנה שוב.
He just says just part of war.
Yes.
Just killing innocent children.
Yeah, like when that hospital was bombed in Gaza, they said it was Hamas bombing their own hospital. That's what made me stop thinking, why would they do that?
And then they said that, hey, we bombed it, but they was using children as shields.
Yeah, Hamas was hiding in the hospital.
Right. It's every time it's a deflection. Instead of just being honest and saying, yeah, we're going in there. We're gonna go in there and we're gonna fuck them all up.
Yeah.
Like they deflect, and it's like, well, how dare you accuse me of that? How dare you accuse me of killing civilians? And it's like, you did it, and then you did it last week too. And you did it 2 months ago, and you did it. You killed your own civilians. Anybody remember that story? They at the music festival, it came out weeks later that the gunmen in the helicopters gunned down dozens of people, and they don't know who.
Yeah, and I was like, how the hell did that happen? Y'all got the most securest border. How the hell did Hamas come in on hang gliders into if you got this? I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
It's fishy.
Weird.
It's no less fishy than the 9/11 story. The official 9/11 story. Like, we got planes hijacked that knocked down 3 towers with 2 planes. Everybody forgets about the 3rd tower at at World Trade Tower 7. We just had another building fall. Like, there's all sorts of really, really legitimate questions, but you're crazy for asking. You love terrorism for asking.
You're anti-Semitic.
You support hummus. You're anti-Semitic.
And you're crazy.
And you're a conspiracy
and you're a leftist. That's like the newest comment on my Instagram. You turned leftist. Yeah, I turned leftist, dude. Like, all right. Like, you fucking sat home and wore a mask while I got my dick beat in, fighting for you. And I'm a leftist. Like, you complied with everything. Shut up. Like, all you did was vote for Trump. Like,
that's all they do.
But that's a majority of some of the people who are on our side. And as much as that's an insult, I don't like it's. You guys got to wise up. Like, stop being led by everything. Ask some legitimate questions. Don't just like go to Ben Shapiro and if he tells you not to think about something, to just not think about it.
Yeah, this whole Candace Owens Ben Shapiro thing opened up so many. Man, that opened up my eyes.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't blindly follow conservatives. You shouldn't blindly
anybody,
especially blindly follow a damn progressive politician.
You especially shouldn't follow a Jew.
Yeah. Well, look where it got you.
Get you fired.
Or follow a Negro.
It's true though, and man, I don't understand the situation entirely, but I give a lot of props to Candace for.
It looks real bad.
It gets harder and harder to ask the hard questions the more mainstream you become, right? And I don't think anybody like willingly gets to that point, right? Like when Candace probably signed up, for the Daily Wire.
Yeah, it was billboards, uncancelable.
Yeah. And I mean, hey, that's awesome. Who wouldn't say yes to that? But you don't realize that like, oh shit, like there's a box around me now, and you don't notice it until you hit the walls of that box. You know what I mean?
I never realized that Candace's show, she didn't own any of that. No. Her likeness, her videos, all that belonged to the Daily Wire.
Yeah. Well, somebody comes along and says, hey, I'll give you $10 million a year to do this. Do you feel like doing it all yourself? Or are you just going to take the $10 million a year?
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing inherently, but it does put you in these situations where it does become now hard because your boss says, shut the fuck up. Like, don't talk.
And
like,
she gets asked the question.
We believe in freedom of speech, but you need to shut the hell up.
I'm Jewish, and us Jews are not having this shit.
Yeah. We love the truth, but this one, you're going to sit this one out. Focus on talk about black people again.
Talk about the Negroes. Let's bash them.
Yeah, we like that. We love it when you bash the Negroes.
As much of a joke that is, that's so true. Yeah. It's so true. You look at people like Ben Shapiro, and I said this the other day during another conversation. People like Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, all these people love to critique the flaws of black culture.
It's so easy.
They love it. And they'll talk about facts over feelings. They'll talk about statistics. All of these things, right? And they'll hold black culture, which it should be. Every culture should be held accountable.
Low-hanging fruit right there.
Yeah. But they love to say, black people need to step up and their fathers need to do this. And many of these are very legitimate criticisms.
It's valid.
Yeah.
Do that to Jewish culture and their heads explode.
Exactly.
It's like... And I'm sure Candace probably noticed that. Candace is like, man, y'all love when I'm like beating up on the blacks, but like I ask one question about the Jews, and you guys lose your minds.
Yeah. Hey, you know what's crazy? They're using the same tactics as the LGBTQ.
Yeah.
Exact same tactics, man.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
they label you a homophobe just for asking a question.
I don't think
anti-Semitic
biological men
just
should breastfeed children, right? Oh, you're a homophobe.
Yep.
When she asks anything questionable about what Israel's doing, oh, you're anti-Semitic. You got to go.
Same tactics.
That's the thing that people need to notice is it's the same levers are being pulled. And it's the same people.
Yeah.
You know, like big media is behind it, big government's behind it, and they pretend like they're not. Like it's such a show now, just like there's a show with Republican politicians and Democrat ones back at COVID, right? What did Republican politicians really do about COVID?
They didn't do shit until DeSantis.
Yeah. So you had some people saying screw this. You know, DeSantis was definitely one of them.
Right.
You know, but the bulk of GOP candidates or elected officials, right? All they did was yell on Capitol Hill and what happened to the investigations? What happened to Fauci? Where's he at?
Yeah.
It's this like theater back and forth, and then they did it with BLM, and then they did it with Ukraine, and now it's like you're seeing the feud where it's like, oh, as the right we have to support Israel, and as the left, you know, it's like you have they activate like they're useful idiots, like the college kids. They activate them to, oh my God, look at these kids, they're out of control, they're screaming from the river to the sea, you know, oh my God, they're death to America chants, and it's the pitting of the two sides against each other.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it goes on.
Yeah.
It goes on and on.
I never understood when the Palestinian supporters, well, conservatives call them Hamas supporters, but the Palestinian supporters, I like the way they do that. Everybody's Hamas.
Yeah. Don't kill children. So you love hummus.
Yeah, exactly. And then I start hearing these chants from the Palestinian supporters talking about, you know, this is a genocide. I never really got that till I started paying attention and see the tens of thousands of people that died.
I never understand the whole Free Palestine either. And I started doing some research.
Yeah, it used to be
I was like, what do they mean, Free Palestine? What the hell are these damn church supporters saying, you know?
Right.
And I started doing my research. I was like, no shit. This place used to be called Palestine back in the 40s.
Yeah.
So after World War II, they took a bunch of European Jews because... and
what Hitler did.
Yeah.
And put them there and called it Israel.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah. And majority of the aid that we send to Israel goes to them. Doesn't even go to the people that was displaced from Israel.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
We've given that country more money than any country combined.
They could have gave the niggas the reparations.
They could have gave everybody reparations.
Yeah.
And the Indians too.
Yeah, not that I'm for reparations.
Yeah, no.
That's just totally stupid.
But shit, I'd rather have it.
Yeah.
If you're gonna print it, give it here. What up?
Yeah, but if they pay me, I'll gladly take it.
No, but you know, it's hard to ignore. Like, again, like you said, you weren't super educated, up to date on it. But like, how many times can you see pictures of Palestine that it's just desecrated?
Yeah.
Before you start saying like
how would they go back and rebuild all that?
Israel will.
Yeah.
I mean, they mark my words. That's what they'll do.
Guess who's paying for it?
We are.
We are.
And that's full circle. You know what? It's like if we just sever that tie and say we're not giving you a blank check anymore.
Right.
You go and do that shit. That's on you. You. But right now, every single one of us pay for that. And not only do we pay for it, but our children pay for it, our children's children, because we are so far in debt that we're never going to see the end of it at this point. And these people just run it up.
Right.
And there's quotes by former Israeli officials, Zionists, saying that like the United States is like their golden calf, meaning like they're just using us. You know, it's this blank check, and if we're writing you a check, you've got to answer our questions. And if you can't answer our questions, we're cutting the check off.
Yeah.
Hey, if we're giving you that money and you really are using it to defend yourself,
right?
Cool. But you guys are on a full-out offensive
against somebody with no guns.
I mean, look at that last clip we just watched.
Yeah,
like they're going to launch an offensive in there. Where's the Hamas battalions?
Yeah, right.
You just
never see them. It's like, where's all these damn terrorists at?
They all came over the wall, and I guess that was it. And then the rest are hiding behind. That's probably why you can't see them. They're hiding behind children in the video.
Yeah, and dudes offering food, and they're in the trucks where the people's giving food to people.
Yeah,
in displaced.
Yeah, Yeah, at this point, we just pretty much slaves. They take our money, they do whatever they want with it, and they take our money and they support only the people they want to run for president.
Yeah. But USA is like, we're fucking terrorists.
Yeah, we support it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Nobody's calling out that there should be a call for peace in the Middle East. And they keep saying...
Everybody is.
They keep saying...
They're starting to now.
Yeah. But
I mean, the whole world is.
Right, right.
But we don't see that on our news.
Right, you don't see it.
It doesn't get to us. And that's how they... I mean, the same thing how they do it in Ukraine. Like, we don't see what's going on in Ukraine here.
Right.
We see some little clip.
Right. Yeah. The clip they want us to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got a damn good episode going on.
And before we get to that, hey, over 94% of y'all are watching, but you ain't subscribed. What kind of bullshit is that? Did you forget? We got a lot of damn good shows coming.
Yeah.
I mean, famous people.
Yeah.
I'm not having a bunch of plumbers and got some real people. Well, they real too, but
no, they
ain't famous. I got famous people coming on. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications so y'all get notified whenever we got a damn new show coming.
Well, these people, they got brains. They know how to subscribe. And
well, the white producers is telling us to say that shit.
They keep saying that Israel is our most important ally. Where did he get that shit from?
All you have to do is ask somebody why.
Yeah.
And they'll go on a tangent. They'll be like, oh, well, they make a bunch of our medicine. Okay, we're a country hooked on pharmaceuticals. That might not be a bad idea to wean off of that a little bit. They'll be like, oh, well, they gave us our greatest military inventions.
Right.
Debatable. They won't give you any concrete reasons. It's if we don't have Israel, they'll come here. Is the premise of that major organization. We have to have Israel because we need some control in the Middle East.
That's kind of weird because back when it was called Palestine, they had Muslims, they had Jews,
Christians, all living together.
All living together. But now all of a sudden, Jewish people need their own country.
Yeah.
Well, it's the again, if you ask people just to open their eyes, right? So the right wing is familiar with names like the Rothschilds, right? The elites.
Yeah.
The Rothschilds were responsible for the creation of Israel in the Balfour Declaration. This is a document that is in a museum in England where the King of England or whatever it is grants Duke Rothschild. It says like, yeah, we're gonna hook you up, bro. Like we're gonna after and it was in sort of basically paying back a favor, paying back a debt. Mm-hmm. So conservatives hate the Rothschilds. They think they control everything.
Right.
And then you go, maybe you should look into the Israeli government. And it's like, whoa, you're an anti-Semite. Whoa.
Right.
And it's like, are you closing your eyes? Like, are you doing this on purpose?
Yeah.
Or do you just not like, because it's so engraved. It's this, our greatest ally. We need them. If we don't have them, the terrorists will come to us.
Yeah. Why do you think, I find conservatives to be more, coherent, just people with logical minds. Why do you think so many of them fall for this whole Jew thing?
I think it's just the longest running
scandal,
like psyop scam.
Yeah.
It's been accepted for so long.
Yeah.
And look at an organization like AIPAC.
Yeah.
They boast on their website that 97% of the candidates that they endorse get elected on both sides. And it's a foreign lobby.
Right.
Every other foreign lobby has to they don't operate like that. Mm-hmm. They come in, AIPAC hosts these huge galas. Every president, every important senator, congressman, especially in the federal government, has gone and they speak. I mean, you can pull up a clip on YouTube now. Pull up every single one of them will say, you'll see a clip of Chuck Schumer going like, we support Israel to the end. And Nancy Pelosi says it, and Barack Obama says it, and George Bush says it, and they all say it, and you're like, who are these guys?
Yeah.
This is the American-Israeli, PAC. And it's an Israeli organization. It's a foreign entity. I don't care.
Meddling in our elections.
If that was ChaiPAC, how would that go over? if instead of the Israeli flag and the American flag, it was a big red Soviet flag. And George Bush and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and everybody else was like, we'll support China to the end. How would that go over?
It won't go over very well. So why would we give Israel a pass?
Exactly. And but it's the same thing, look through almost every level of our federal government. And in every major position, not every, but in every major industry, there are an overwhelming amount of positions held by people who, they may not be Jewish, they may not be even practicing Jews, but they hold an allegiance to the cause of Zionism, to Israel. They pledge in some sort of allegiance. They think that Israel is our greatest ally. They think that we should support them. They're in media. They're in entertainment. They're in music. They're in all these things. Again, if those were people affiliated with China, how would we handle that situation?
Look what we're doing at TikTok. We're trying to get that shit banned.
Perfect example.
Exactly.
Perfect example. When they want to ban something, then they want to stop foreign influence. They will go at it. There's one Chinese thing in this country, and every single one of them is jumping on it like a rabid dog.
Right.
And meanwhile, you have an organization that proudly boasts that 97% of the candidates that they endorse, it is the endorsement. Like, if you have an AIPAC endorsement, as someone who ran, if you have an AIPAC endorsement, you've got tons of money, you've got tons of donors, and you've basically got, you're good. You're good.
You're good.
I remember when I ran for Congress, I think this was one of the first moments I was really like, what? I was preparing for debate. We got this goofball to debate me, and it was still COVID, so we had to do like a video debate. And I'm practicing with my team, and I had a really cool team. We were like the outcasts,
right?
And they're like spitballing me questions, and I'm nailing all these questions left and right, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, and my whole platform was simple. It's any policy decision goes through the lens of America first. How does this policy affect Americans before anything else? Right. Are we going to send money over here? How does it affect Americans? Negatively? Does it cost American money? No. Boom. Done. So I'm answering all these questions. Everybody's like, yeah, you're going to crush this debate. And they said, what is your stance on Israel? And I said,
they saved the hardest one for last.
I don't even remember what I said, but I was like, yeah, I mean, like, whatever, but America first.
Right.
And everybody was like, no, wrong answer. And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, you say the words, Israel is our greatest ally. And I looked at them, and I had my campaign manager. He was a good dude, really, really good dude. And like, we used to bust each other's balls all the time, and I thought he was joking.
Yeah.
And he was dead serious. And he goes, if you want your funding to continue, if you want the big donate, because that's what a campaign runs on. It runs on money. If you can't, at least you don't have to have more money, but you've got to have enough money to fight.
Right.
And we raised north of six figures, 150,000 or something like that. I don't know what we raised. They spent 10 times as much. And it's like, if you can't at least keep pace with that, so you can defend and you can fight back. It doesn't matter what your platform is. You could be the most qualified candidate for the job through and through, and they will just bury you in money. They'll flyer the leaf, because most people don't pay attention. So they get a leaflet at their house, and it's all talking all bad about you, and they get another leaflet, and it's all bad about him, and they get another leaflet, and it's from another organization that supports the other guy. So they just bury him. So he was like, he's like, you can say whatever you want. He said, if you're funding, if you want your big donations, because you got a cold call, hey, my name's Ian Smith, I'm running for Congress.
Yeah.
I need to speak to Bill Hutchinson. And it's like some old guy, and it is. It's like an old, it's a boomer usually, especially in the GOP.
A Jew lover.
Yeah.
He's cool. He can love the Jews. He's a boomer.
It's true. Yeah. It's true. And if he hears that you think that Israel's not our greatest ally, he thinks that you're a terrorist. So, long story short, I'm in the debate, and the question comes up, and he goes first. And I'm like, God, oh man, like, I don't want to say this. I really don't want to. Like, I've
don't do it, man.
I've prided myself. I spoke my mind during COVID, all that, and I folded, and I said, because I wanted.
Let me hear you say.
I wanted to get there.
Let me hear you say.
I don't even remember what I said, but I was like, Israel's our greatest ally. It's like the meme, like Like they're like the Simpsons meme. They're like, say the thing, say the thing. And I was like, I was like, yeah, we need to protect our interests in the Middle East, and Israel is our greatest ally. And I felt like such a bitch for saying it.
Yeah,
like I was like, I can't believe I did that.
Yeah.
Like I was ashamed of myself, honestly, because I didn't believe it. It wasn't so much that it was about Israel or anything else like that. It was that I was told that if you want to play the game, that this is how it's played, and you're gonna bend the knee.
Right.
You're gonna bend the knee. And I was like, man, why is it like that?
Yeah.
And I started to do my homework, and then it's there's just so much that it's like, man, these people really have a lot of control, and we need to ask the question as to why that's allowed.
Yeah, it shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's
common sense. It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be.
Yeah.
American politics should be dictated by people who have the interest of America first.
Right.
Period.
Exactly.
Full stop. That's it.
All right, we're going to switch gears. We've been killing the Jews.
Yeah, we've been killing the Jews.
So if people want to run for office, what should they run as? What
should be local, I would think. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's not even about necessarily running. It's about getting involved locally. Running is a beast. It's very challenging. It's a huge sacrifice. It's why we wind up with so many assholes. Yeah. Because if you do it the right way, it's a very challenging job. It's challenging, and a lot of times it's very thankless. You're not going to get rich doing it. Like, there's not a whole lot of incentives if you do it the right way. So it is very challenging, but it's definitely something if you want to do, try it. But get involved locally. There's like county seats in probably half the counties across the country that have vacant seats. And these are the people that help pick the candidates. They're the people that help pick the local congressman, the local state senator, who get the word out, who organize the events, who all these things. And you can make a huge impact by just walking into one of these seats. And and you'll inherit some responsibility, but either that, if you're going to run, but support local candidates. It's so hard to run. It's incredibly difficult. It's one of the most challenging things I've ever done, because you need so many things and you only have so little time, and you're going against somebody who essentially has infinite resources and who created the game. Yeah. Right. Like you're playing chess against the guy who created it and knows every single move, and you're like, all right, I got to move my pawn, and but there's just so much. Right. So manpower is a huge thing. But if you're going to run state, local, county, that's where you can get in. That's where you can make the difference. And that's where if you're going to donate your time, energy, money, that's also where it makes the difference. Yeah. Like big time.
All right. I'm going to switch gears here.
Yeah.
There's so many women like invading like men's spaces. No, I said that. Fuck that up. I'm getting confused. There's so many
I was
men.
like, is there?
I wish we had that problem, right? Oh, you want to be in the men?
Well, yeah.
Let's have some fun, bitch. It's so many men invading women's spaces.
Right.
If you still had your gym, what would you do?
I'm sure you came across this, right, when you was a gym owner?
No, we never did.
Right.
We never did.
I guess the girl didn't have the balls to do anything, huh?
We had a man who was a woman. It was like a weird kind of androgynous. She would come in only like once. She would come in only once in a while. And it looked like he wasn't sure if it was just a chick who was just really into bodybuilding, or if it was like a dude who just liked makeup.
Right.
It was like somewhere between, but it was a dude.
One of those.
And they used the correct bathroom.
Okay.
They respected the policy. They were actually, they were cool. They didn't want the red carpet rolled out for them, anything like that. They were just a little special in the way that they appeared.
Right.
But they were cool. But if that should be an automatic decision. If there's a dude in your women's restroom, they should just get their ass beat on site. Don't even call the cops.
That's what used to happen.
Yeah. That's what needs to happen, because if you start.
Well, don't beat them up right away. Give them a chance to leave.
Yes, give them a chance.
I'm warning you. You need to get out of here.
You're going to get your ass beat. 5, 4, 3. That, and like just shame these people. Like, film them, make them look like idiots, put them on the internet, laugh at them, bully them.
But you know what? It's crazy. Women defend them.
Yeah,
I will never understand that.
It takes a certain type. Yeah, exactly. A certain type of woman will defend.
But if all women push back against this, it wouldn't happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Democrat one.
But a majority of women support it.
yeah. Yeah.
It's weird. It's like all those years y'all was fighting for rights, and now you're just gonna give them back to men.
Yeah, well, that's called being so open-minded that your brains fall out. Right. You know, it's like you want to be the night. These people have nothing else to contribute to society other than like their understanding and their acceptance. And they're useful idiots, but I think more and more women are seeing the negative effects of it. And as a parent, it's very hard to support that. When you have a little girl, or when you have a child in general, but you understand what that nature of wanting to protect at all costs is. Like, no parent can. You've just got to be so far gone,
right?
Like so far brainwashed to be like, I see nothing wrong with this.
Yeah, and this idea is not going to age well. It's going to get worse over time. And the Democrat Party is going to be known for this. They're going to be the party of the KKK, of Jim Crow, and pushing radical fringe ideology on children. Yeah. They're going to be the party known for that.
Yeah, and
still not hurting them. Doing pretty good.
Eventually, I think
people. I never realized like COVID, all this when I got into politics. I never realized how stupid most of the country literally is.
Yeah,
brain dead.
One of the things I say all the time, because everybody kind of like looks around, but like think of like the intelligence of the average person. Right?
Yeah,
like
scary.
Yeah, but now figure that there's 49% of people who are dumber than that. So you wonder, you're like, how does this happen? And you're like, oh yeah. Like the average person, even not in terms of like intelligence, but in terms of just like consciousness, like paying attention.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They're just busy with their own lives.
That's what a lot of it is. It's less about intelligence than it is ignorance, and ignorance in the sense that, like you said, they're just wrapped up in their own lives, and it's like, oh yeah, we should support trans people. They're people too, and it's like that dude in the bathroom, like next to your daughter, you know, with his wiener hanging out, like.
And they say stupid shit like that. People try. I'm not saying they're alien. I'm just saying he shouldn't be beside my girl in the bathroom. You know, that's all I'm saying. You dumb bitch.
Hold it or go. Whatever. Go to set up a porta potty.
Yeah. Have you heard of Michael Rapaport?
Yeah, he's the guy with the whiny voice.
Yeah. Have you heard his political views lately?
Yeah.
It's totally flat. Hey, pull up the video. This is kind of.
Well, he's Jewish.
You got to give him a little.
Yeah.
He's Jewish. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. I'm supposed to be Republican. How can you be a Democrat and you Jewish? Yeah. Fucking idiot.
I have educated myself so much since 2016, and I have a ways to go. My political views have changed immensely, and they're changing at a rapid pace. I will not vote for Joe Biden. I do not support anybody from the squad. I think they're totally full of shit. I think they're dangerous. I think they're race hustlers. I think they're cons. I think inevitably they want to get themselves production deals to produce documentaries. I think they're three-card Monty playing bullshit artists. I think they totally have an agenda. I have said, not to go down the rabbit hole, that at this point when we're doing this interview, voting for Trump is on the table. People are like, what are you talking about? That's my reality. That is my reality. I will not support anybody who's anti-Israel.
There you go. There's the Jewish side.
Making America safe. I'm not supporting anybody that is cool with the fact that it takes me 2.5 hours to get back into America from Toronto at the what is it called? The passport at the
passport control.
The line to go from Toronto to New York. It takes me 2.5 hours, as it should, but it takes you 2 minutes to cross the border. I'm not down with that shit. I'm not down with police officers in the greatest city on earth getting beaten up, and you're a legal immigrant, and then you have no bail. I'm not down with
and flipping off the camera.
Flipping off the fucking camera like Tupac when he got arrested and he was coming out in the
that was kind of funny.
Red Wings t-shirt. I'm not down with going into a Costco or a 7-Eleven or a Rite Aid, as I videotaped once and went crazy viral, cleaning out the spot and walking like you're on like a beautiful spring day walk. I'm not down with any of that shit. So any of these people that support it, I'm not voting for them. So yes, my political views have changed a lot. I'm voting with my money and I'm voting with Israel. I'm not getting caught up or suckered into these race politics or any of that bullshit anymore.
Cut this Jew off.
It's all about him being Jewish.
Yeah.
The squad, he bring up the squad, they're anti-Semitic. They actually are.
Well, first of all, what's funny about this is it's like, no shit, dude.
Yeah.
Like he's like, I'm not down with people crossing the border. You were for 8 years.
Yeah,
what are you
exactly.
talking about?
Yeah.
Like now you're not. Like I'm not down with police, bro. You were like supporting BLM while they were like knocking cops' heads in. Like you're an idiot. You are an absolute idiot. But the icing on the cake for him, the thing that was the deal breaker, was not all that. It was I'm not down with people who question Israel.
Yeah.
And he you know, he doesn't say question it, but that's what it is.
But that's what he means.
That's what it is.
Exactly what he means.
If you don't fully support what Israel is doing, you are a terrorist and you are bad. Yeah. And that's like all that other stuff he was championing.
Yeah.
Right.
He's one of like their loudest like blabbermouths.
Yeah. Right. Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
For 8 years,
Yeah.
he's been ragging on Trump, just sucking off Joe Biden.
Yeah. Sucking him off.
Yeah. That's why he's got that crazy thing on his face.
Yeah.
Freaking
You know
guys on zip code.
It gives me hope when I see people make that such a transformation, though. If he could just get over the Israel thing.
I mean, you can't expect everybody to get it all at once.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
it's a process, and I think that's like a really important kind of thing. Is that like there does have to be some grace for these people, right? Like you can't bash their heads in. And, you know, we just did, but whatever.
Yeah. We're just joking, though.
But like, if that is serious and it is genuine, right? Like, okay, I don't.
He's at the beach.
Yeah, he
got a
sounds
film
like
crew.
he sounds like he's
Unscripted.
crying too. Like he's
Had the
they got
music on there.
the
and
music
everything.
in the background and talking about people making documentaries on his documentary.
Right.
You know, but I'm okay with politics where we disagree. Right? It's if you really genuinely think that you know Israel is X, Y, and Z, and I don't, I'm happy to debate it too.
Right.
You know, but it's still a good thing to see the world crashing around these people with all of the other stuff, even if
Gives you
they
hope.
don't get the full picture.
Yeah, it gives you hope.
You know, because maybe that'll come crashing down too if we keep asking the uncomfortable questions. You know, and it's it takes, you know, risking getting canceled or whatever, or getting yelled at by anonymous people on Instagram and Twitter. But we were asking those same questions for all that other stuff for years now. You know, you guys were doing it. A whole bunch of us have been doing it.
Yeah.
And now, you know, it could have been sooner that they're starting to understand, but they are. You know, so it does show how important that, like that, just pushing the envelope and continuing just to have the conversations and to ask the questions and to make jokes about these people and to constantly make sure that people are that level of awareness is being.
Yeah, it looked like they sound like people are waking up. If there was ever another mandate, you think people will fight against it this
another
time?
COVID or something. Because people are waking up.
Yeah,
I think you would have a lot more resistance. I honestly don't know if it would work
this time around.
Yeah, it would need to like actually be a deadly thing.
Yeah,
I think, you know,
people literally have to be catching it 3 hours later. They're walking and just drop dead in the street.
Yeah. Which I mean is entirely possible.
Right.
You know, that could be the okey doke. You know, you run one where it's not really a thing, and then everybody who resisted the original thing now looks like the bad guy, and you know you get 100% compliance very quickly. Yeah. But if it's another COVID, like you know COVID 2.0, I think. There's so many people who are not even on the right who are like, that was so stupid.
Right.
You know, like I was over at the casino here the other night and we were talking to the blackjack dealer and you know, the pit boss noticed me and he goes, yo, you're the gym guy.
Right. Yeah.
And she had no idea. Like she was apolitical. But we got to talking about COVID, and this is a woman who probably just kind of went along with things and, you know, whatever. Maybe she's liberal, maybe she's not, maybe she probably doesn't pay attention. But this is a normal person who is completely outside of the world of politics who's like, yeah, I'm never wearing a mask again. Like, I'm never doing that again. Like, that was so stupid. Yeah. So, yeah, people are definitely waking up. It's just, come on.
You know
come
what?
on,
When
hurry
those
up.
masks came out, we was so close to doing a video about the mask. I'm not wearing it. We was going to be the very first ones, but I chickened out. Because I was like, come on, this is going to stop you from getting sick. Do you know how you get sick? It's not going to stop you from getting sick.
Fucker takes the mask off, starts eating, putting his freaking heads all up in his mouth. It's like,
it doesn't make any sense.
hey, what do you think's up with this next election? You think Trump's going to take this election?
He should win it easily. Well, I would think.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Got to wait for them ballots to come in, right? The mail-in ballots.
Of course. Well, I have a couple thoughts about it. One, I don't think that Joe Biden is going to be the candidate. I genuinely don't.
He can't be. That's what I'm thinking the same thing.
Unless we're all missing the point, and it's all a big show, and they want Trump to get elected, and there's some grand scheme that we all haven't caught onto.
Right.
There's no way that they would. Anybody with a strategic mind would be like, he's good to run. I think what it'll be is it'll be a last-minute poll, probably in the next month or two.
They could be Michelle Obama?
I think Big Mike would definitely be a good candidate. Well, I mean, think about it. It's you can ride off of the, even though Obama wasn't a good president, like there's people who genuinely think that he was a great president.
I know.
People that think that he was the greatest president.
Because he's black.
Yeah, and for no other reason, and he could speak well, and he could flower up a turd and make it look great. So I think that Big Mike would be, because now you got Obama 2.0, and you got your first woman president, your first black woman president. It's checking off the boxes on all the heartstrings of all the people, the do-gooders of the world who think that that's progress.
Right.
A Gavin Newsom, something like that. I just think a late horse is going to come in, and they'll just say, sorry, Grandpa fucked up.
Yeah.
He messed up.
I'm thinking he's going to come out and say he's pulling out because of his health.
Yeah. And then, but you get to blame everything that happened on him, and it's just like, he was just old.
Yeah.
We didn't really mean to destroy the country and the economy. Like, it was... Joe Biden just did his best. He was just a little too old for the job. But we have Big Mike and Gavin Newsom. You know what I mean? Like, he looks like a comic book villain. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
He looks like something out of Gotham City. Like the mayor of Gotham City.
Yeah. Women love him too.
And
voters.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, when you referred to Michelle Obama as Big Mike, I looked up a couple of videos on YouTube. I can't find them anymore, and it shows if Michelle Obama's a dude. And I can't find him anywhere. Yeah. And I was listening to it, and it was all making sense.
He might be.
I was going back to it, and now the videos are gone.
Yeah, there's...
I got flagged for hate speech.
And what was that actress that died on the operating table having some cosmetic surgery?
Oh,
Joan Rivers?
Joan Rivers, yeah.
Joan Rivers.
She said that, yeah.
She said that, and I think within 2 weeks...
like 2 weeks later. Yeah.
She was dead.
Yeah, she said it was like on TMZ and everything.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, everybody knows she's a man. Everybody knows that.
It's true, though.
So serious. Yeah. We got an important announcement for y'all. A damn important announcement.
Sure do.
The value of the American dollar is getting weaker and weaker. And don't believe Biden and his lying media.
He's a liar.
When he tell you there's no inflation.
Inflation's going crazy.
Look, you see it all around you. You got grocery bills, real estate market, gas prices, everything's going up. Everything going up.
Yeah, it's because the strength of our dollar is going down. Just like y'all, we've been trying to find different places to put our money, keep it secure, because every day the Fed is printing money.
Yeah, like
non-stop. Like it's monopoly money.
And of course, mainstream news outlets.
Yeah, they ain't going to talk about it.
Yeah, they're not going to cover it. So we go to Dr. Kurt Elliott for all our economy updates.
That's a damn good white man.
Damn good white man.
That's a damn good white man.
And he's smart, too.
Yeah, he is.
Dr. Kurt Elliott is a precious metals expert and has been working in the gold and silver market for over 20 years.
That's a long time. Yes. 20 years?
Yeah, that's why we partnered with Dr. Kurt. Go to Hodgetwinsgold.com. Signing up is totally free, and Dr. Kurt's team of advisors will listen to all your concerns you may have about your economic future, talk you through the right plan that especially fits your needs. Go to Hodgetwinsgold.com. It's not our gold. It's just our website. Go to Hodgetwinsgold.com right now and secure your economic future today for you and your family.
Man, I wish I had me some gold in my basement.
Yeah.
No, so I think there will be like a late last-minute switch. But, I think we agree as conservatives that the last election was just a little bit fishy.
Right. Yeah, somewhat. Yeah. I went to sleep that night and I said, we got this.
Yeah, Trump's winning everything.
I said, Trump's winning all the key battle states.
And keep it there. It was fishy. There were some problems with it. I think we can all agree on.
Yeah, he didn't win, right?
Yeah.
That was the problem.
But I don't, and maybe I'm wrong, but what has changed since then about our election system?
I think they did away with a lot of the COVID rules to how you can vote with mail-in ballots. I think whenever you have that many votes coming on a mail-in ballot, it's just open to too much fraud. Even Democrats stated that.
I think we have.
I think they did away with the COVID.
There's
some states haven't.
There's a number, but now there's a number of states, and I don't know the number, so I won't say it, but it's more than one, which is too many, where you don't need an ID to vote.
Right.
And we've got an immigrant. Not even an immigrant, and an invasion going on.
Yeah. Right.
The same Democrat tactics that they've used for years. They go into inner cities. They get usually low income Black and Latinos.
Right.
They bust them in to vote.
Yeah.
Who says they're not going to do that now? Because they lost the Black and Latino vote, or they're losing it.
Yeah.
They're just going to do it with the new Latinos that they brought in.
You know, I asked RFK Jr. about that. I said, "What's with this ID in voting?" And then this is what he said. He said, "Well, if you he said a lot of older people,
older
that's on
Black
the
people,
left side, they don't have IDs, so it disenfranchises a lot of Democrat voters." I said,
and I asked him, I said, if these people can't find an ID, I said, if these people can't find how to get an ID, should they be voting? He just looked at me like,
it's true though. That's a valid point. If you can't figure out how to get to the DMV. In 4 years, you've got 4 years to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
And get yourself an identification card. Doesn't have to be a driver's license.
Right.
I don't want a lot of you old people driving.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, but regardless of how old, young you are, what the color of your skin is, what your socioeconomic status is, what languages you do or don't speak, if you can't figure out how to get to the DMV and get yourself a non-driver's license identification, you should not be voting at all.
Texas, they figured out they give everybody IDs in Texas.
Look at that.
Why can't they do it in the liberal states?
Yeah.
They don't want to fix the problem because they know if they fix the problem, then it's...
Yeah, exactly. So I have a big concern about those issues. The late the late switch. And I know that's not to discredit all of the people who have been working on election integrity issues, because I know that there are a ton of people who don't have like a big spotlight, and that's a grueling battle. So that's not to throw shade at all of the efforts and all of the money and the time and the energy that people have spent trying to fix election issues. But what have we legitimately fixed? We still have electronic voting machines. These are still private companies that run our vote. Like, you know, there's just so many holes in it that, especially if you combine the two of those things, the late stage candidate and the issues that we have with voter fraud, I don't know if Donald Trump wins, you know, because it's like, oh, well, you know, they may not be able to cheat hard enough for Joe Biden, but they can easily push Michelle Obama, Big Mike, across the. Yeah, I almost called her by her dead name.
And you actually brought up a point about Trump. I think if Trump wins the election, gets in there, I think it's going to be a fiasco.
Sure.
The entire time he's in there, their whole impeachment's going to come back. They're going to throw everything but the kitchen sink in him.
Look at what they did the first time.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what they're currently doing.
Yeah. It's going to be a shit show.
It's gotten worse and worse and worse. And you know, to Trump's credit, there was a lot that he tried to do that he was sort of he couldn't, because he was always dealing with just ridiculous criticisms, with, you know, people that were acting like children in terms of the political process, you know, so now, and it's only gotten worse. I mean, the media is nothing but like a rabid dog. They've been nothing but a rabid dog. They've
they stayed on.
Yeah.
They're just pretty much an extension of the Democrat Party.
So it's, even if he does get in, there will probably be a next thing, you know, like a next current thing. You know, COVID was the thing. We know that was manufactured. That wasn't bat soup like they told us.
Right.
You know.
Right. Oh, how did it come about? Oh, somebody ate some bat soup. They didn't cook it long enough.
Yeah. Which is crazy, because everybody was like, oh my God, bat soup? What? Let's shut this country down. Shut it all down.
Yeah.
Like,
dude,
wear masks, shut it all down.
I was watching this Netflix special about these diseases out in China. It's a documentary. They got some shit over there in China that can wipe out 90% of the planet's population.
Oh, yeah. In the labs and stuff that they mess around in?
I turned it off. I couldn't watch the rest.
Yeah, these people like playing God.
Yeah.
You know, they're playing with things that shouldn't be played with, and you know, that's it. The fact that that's even a thing is concerning.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? It's
and this whole COVID thing, I'm pretty sure that was, I don't have any evidence to back it up, but I don't think that came from Mother Nature. I think it was a leak. It accidentally got out and it turned into something terrible. And I think for some odd reason, I'm thinking we had our hands in that. Yeah. We was fun in the lab.
Yeah. I mean, United States and Israel were two of the most highly vaccinated countries. Up there with China. Mm-hmm. We had the strictest lockdowns in most cases. China, Israel, and the U.S.
And it's in China. Why are we funding labs in China? If it's so much of a conflict,
because Dr. Fauci thought it was a good idea. You know that? He's a good guy.
Well, that's the political theater of it all. Yeah. Like, that's the thing that people need to look at, and that's the real question. It's like, well, wait, our government funds this, but you guys tell us all the time like that they're these horrible people over there, the Chinese. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What are we doing?
Right.
Make those two things make sense at the same time.
That's what they did in Russia too. There's like when we started we was buying oil from Russia. Mm-hmm. They said, we're not buying your oil anymore. It's like, wait a minute, they're evil people, but you are buying oil from them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And now you're making the point to not buying the oil from them because you're making the point that he's evil now. When he's been, fuck it.
Yeah, well, Tucker did a video over there, and that country like is thriving. The subways are clean, the food, the cost of living is way down.
He doesn't play around. Yeah. He doesn't play around.
He turned the LGBTQ into a terrorist organization.
I mean, that's. I bet if I put up another poll that they would have similar results. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like without the violence, but like the bullying, like that whole like shoving things down your throat. It's you're terrorizing people.
Yeah.
You're in little girls' bathrooms.
Yeah.
You're putting tampons in boys. You're terrorizing. Psychologically terrorizing people.
These people
you can make an argument.
They get so upset when you see a Christian or a pastor out in the street
with the Bible
quoting scripture, right? But no, it's cool when a damn man just goes in a woman's bathroom.
Yeah. That's. I mean, the mental gymnastics are. You got to be pretty good at them. You got to be pretty good at them.
Hey, so what are you working on now?
So I own a couple small companies. Okay. We're in the health and the medical space. One of them is Summit Rejuvenation. We're a testosterone clinic.
Okay.
We specialize in
I love testosterone.
Yeah,
it's a wonderful thing. We don't have enough of it in this country. That's what we're trying to fix.
Yeah.
Right? We're a telehealth clinic in all 50 states. We have a couple in-person locations. We work with men and women in balancing and optimizing their hormones. So it's not always about testosterone, but testosterone is one of the most important hormones. It's a precursor to even estrogen and stuff like that too. So we work with men and women who are having hormonal issues. You have a lot of young men today who have just really low testosterone levels, and it's the result of sort of environmental poisoning. We're poisoned by the convenience of the modern world. All of your food touches plastic, and we don't get a whole lot of sunlight, and we're not as active as normal. And there are a lot of things that you can do to improve your natural levels, but you can't really escape all of it. And some people are a lot more susceptible to it than others. There's some people it has no effect on, and there's others where you're 25 years old and you have less testosterone than a 70-year-old man, and you're walking around feeling like crap, and most doctors will tell you, oh, you're fine, you're within range. So we help people optimize their hormones, and we offer peptides as well. Great business. We have a lot of fun doing it, and we get to help people.
Yeah, it's so very important because about 4 years ago, I was always sleeping, and then when I was home, I couldn't go to sleep, tired, didn't have no energy, no drive. I went and got my testosterone checked. He called me back, dude, you run on a quarter tank.
Yeah.
My testosterone was, 198?
Yep. Yeah.
Something like that.
That's
for years, I lifted weights, died. It killed my testosterone.
Yeah, and that's not necessarily a result of unhealthy choices. It's, in a lot of cases, like I said, it's very hard to avoid. Your clothes that have polyester in them, it gets into your skin, and polyester, they're called endocrine disruptors. And they mess up your hormonal system. And like I said, some people are not as susceptible, and some people it just wreaks havoc on their system. And it's everywhere. It's in tap water. It's you name it. It's in your food. It's on a lot of the stuff they spray in the foods. A lot of the preservatives. They're all soy. There's soy in everything. Soy mimics estrogen in the body, and it's you can do a lot, but you have to be very, very dedicated to doing it. But using TRT as a way to just start feeling better, because it's a terrible feeling. You don't know why you're just not, you're not yourself. You're irritable.
Tired. How do people find your company?
You can follow me right on Instagram or Twitter at X at Ian Smith Fitness. The website for it is getsummitHRT.com. You can follow us on Instagram, Summit Rejuvenation as well. And I have a couple other small projects. We have a CBD company called Recovery CBD, American-made CBD, 100% CBD, no THC, designed for athletes in performance and recovery. It's another great company. And I wrote a book. That was fun. That was a lot more challenging than I thought it was going to be.
Right.
It's hard to write a book without sounding like just like a selfish dick. You know what I mean? Because
that's why we wrote a comic book.
Yeah, yeah. You probably had a better idea. You know, you have a story that you want to tell people, but if you're not paying attention to how you're writing it, it turns into I, me. Right. I did this, I said this, and it's like
sound like a dictator.
I read in the first draft. I was like, I got done writing it, and I was like, that was easy. Yeah. And I read it and I was like, oh my God, I sound horrible. Like I just sound like the most self-centered idiot in the world. So it took me a while, but I wrote about my experiences during COVID, but also I wanted to, everybody, it's very easy to tell the story of when you're a hero, right? You know, like be like, oh, I'm the guy who opened my gym during COVID and I'm so great, and hear about all my accomplishments. And that's very easy. And there, there's some value in that story, but I think what I wanted to accomplish was to help people understand that you're just one choice away from being like a better person. Like most of my life, I've just not been a great person. Very selfish. I've had some major failures in life. I did 5 years in prison.
5 years in prison?
Yeah.
May I ask what you were in prison?
Vehicular homicide. I was I was a 20-year-old kid driving around like an absolute idiot. After a night of drinking, I didn't drink and drive that night, but I woke up in the morning, still had alcohol in my system, was driving down a back road like a 20-year-old kid with a 4-cylinder car that he thinks is a race car and going really fast, and I T-boned somebody and killed them on impact and was sentenced to 5 years for it. So I haven't always made the best choices.
Yeah, we all can say that.
Yeah. In varying degrees with different details. But, one of the things that used to bother me when I was at the height of my notoriety and I was going to all these speaking engagements is people would be like, thank you so much, thank you for what you do, I wish I could do what you did. And it's like, dude, I'm just some guy who decided to make the right choice.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we knew it was the right idea to open our gym. We knew it was going to be hard. We knew there was going to be sacrifice, but we knew it was the right thing to do. And I think a lot of us walk around with this like weight on our shoulders, like we're not capable of that. Like we carry our failures and our shortcomings with us, and it's like, and I did it for years. Like, I'm just a piece of crap. Like, I'm just not a good person. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not capable of doing something great because look at all this stuff I've messed up in the past. So I tell not the full story, but I tell a lot more about my life, in hopes that people will see what we did during COVID and how I have messed up and realize that like you are a lot more powerful than you think you are. And it's not this. Your redemption arc is a lot closer than you think it is. It's not something that you won't see for 20 years. Like, you can start being a completely different and better person today. Just based on little choices.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's really difficult for a lot of people is to look in the mirror.
Yeah.
It's extremely difficult.
And we all fall down. You just got to get back up. You got to learn from it. A lot of people just can't learn from their mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, I fell down and stayed down for years. That was like my crutch. That was, and it became an excuse not to be a good person. Because I mess up everything. Whatever. And it took me a couple good choices. COVID wasn't the only good choice I made, but like that was the first time I think in my adult life where it was like, here's the right thing, and it's going to be really hard for you to do. And here's the wrong thing, and you can choose the wrong thing, and nobody will be mad at you. Right? Because everybody else was choosing the wrong thing. We could have opened up our back door and just let people in and quietly stayed open.
Right.
But the right thing was no.
Knock the door down.
Yeah, knock the door down.
Make it public.
And it was like I was faced with that choice, and it was the first time as a fully grown man like that I was like, all right, I'm gonna take the hard choice, the right one. And that's it. And I could have passed that by, and everybody has those opportunities.
Yeah.
So that's the real takeaway from the book. That, and I talk a lot of political crap too.
Where can they find your book at?
FindYourHill.com. The title of the book is called Find Your Hill. You can order it right from there. I sign and ship out every copy. I'm self-written, self-edited, self-published.
A lot of people use ghostwriters.
Quick story. The book was supposed to be ghostwritten. And the ghostwriter turned me over probably the worst book I've ever written or ever not
So
written.
you had to write it.
I did because we did a pre-sale. We did a pre-sale, and I was like, this is the worst thing I've ever read. Like it was horrible. And the pre-sale had gone on for like a year already. So I was like, oh man, I got to write a book like now. But I'm very thankful that it didn't work out because if you're going to tell a story, it's best to be told through your own words. And yeah, you can get the book. You can also get it on Amazon. I don't touch it though, so I won't sign it, and I only get a couple bucks. Or you can buy it off the website.
Yeah. So rather for them to go to your website.
Either one.
I would ask you about what prison was like, but I'm sure it's in the book, so I won't ask.
It's not a great time.
Right.
It's really boring.
It's mind-numbing, I'm sure, too.
Well, the worst part of it is, you have the violence and you have like the chaos of prison and all that, but the worst thing is just watching the world go on without you. Everybody you love, their life goes on and yours doesn't. You're just in adult timeout.
Right.
That's the hardest part because that weight can crush you if you don't figure out, like who you are. And that was a big moment for me because I didn't know who I was before I went, and you can't run from it. You can't run from like the voice in your head, the questions that you have about yourself, your deepest fears. It's like, in the real world, you can just be like, yeah, I don't feel like thinking about anything. I'm gonna scroll Instagram.
Right.
But in prison, you just got the wall, and
push-ups.
Yeah, and push-ups. You can only do so many push-ups until you're like, man, I gotta think now. But overall, it was definitely a net positive for me, and it can be for anybody. It's not always that way. There's a 2/3 recidivism rate because the prison system isn't really designed to help you.
Right.
You're kind of on your own in there, but it's an interesting experience for sure.
Yeah. Shit.
Don't recommend.
Yeah. Hey man, this has been a great podcast. I want to thank you for coming.
Yeah. Thank you, brother.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you for being an objective conservative.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you.
Awesome.